Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the U.S.-India Chamber of Commerce webinar regarding the SBA Disaster Loan Assistance Program. We will be taking just a couple of minutes here to allow our participants to join in. At this time, I would ask you to do a couple of things for us. Please go ahead and mute yourself if you are able to. And secondly, please make sure you familiarize yourself with the Zoom platform. You can ask questions. We will ask you to type those questions in to the Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom screen. So we will take those in the order in which we receive them later on in the program. So please just note where the Q&A box is, and we will get started here in just about 2 to 3 minutes. Thank you so much, and we look forward to starting this program shortly. Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started at this time. I want to welcome all of you again to the first webinar from the U.S.-India Chamber of Commerce, Dallas-Fort Worth. This webinar is about SBA disaster loan assistance during COVID-19. I want to welcome all of our members who are joining us here today for the first time on this new platform. And I also want to welcome several guests that I know we have who are joining us for the first time or for the first time in a very long time. We welcome all of you. We had an overwhelming response to this particular webinar. And unfortunately, we did have to ask some people to join us on Facebook Live. So we are launching this on Facebook Live today, and people will be able to see it there. Or also, we will post a copy of this recording to the Chamber's YouTube channel probably in the next few days, so people can also find it there. With that being said, I want to go ahead and have us move right into today's program. Joining us today is Herb Austin. Herb is the District Director for the U.S. Small Business Administration here in Dallas-Fort Worth. His region covers 72 counties of the North, Central, and East Texas areas. As director, Mr. Austin is responsible for the management and delivery of SBA programs and services, which includes oversight of SBA resources. The district office works with about 200 participating lenders to provide access to capital to the small business community. The district covers over 22% of the land area of Texas and has an estimated 800,000 small businesses within its region. So Mr. Austin has quite a large responsibility, and we're really honored that he was able to take the time to join us on such short notice. As soon as Governor Abbott announced that Texas businesses are now eligible to apply for small business assistance, and that was approved, of course, by the SBA and the federal government, we're honored to have Mr. Austin here with us bright and early on Monday morning to help our businesses learn more about the process to apply. Again, I want to reiterate a couple of housekeeping items for today's program. One, please make sure to mute your phone or your computer. And then the second thing is, if you do have questions, please make sure to click on the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, and we will field those questions in the order in which we receive them. Thank you so much, and I hand it over to Mr. Austin.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Neil, for inviting us to chat with your membership. We appreciate that, and my heart goes out to all the small businesses that have been negatively affected by this coronavirus. And unfortunately, we have a program that might be able to help you on a short-term and long-term basis. So I'm going to be talking about the disaster program, but I just wanted to let you know that SBA is composed almost of two parts. One of them is district offices, and my work at the district is to provide capacity building to small businesses or prospective small business owners, to help small business get access to government contracts, and also to help get access to financing to our loan guarantee program. So the disaster program is, believe it or not, totally separate from the rest of the district. However, in these tough times, we volunteered, or we are required at a minimum in the district office to provide, to help market, if you will, and promote the program, but we don't do anything in terms of, reviewing packages or receiving the loan package that you are going to be applying for. So just wanted you to understand the difference. So the disaster program comes about as a result of the coronavirus. And the name of it tells the story. It's an economic injury loan program. And by the way, those loans, you don't get the loan from the government. It is a loan. The check will be cut directly from the Treasury to you once you approve. So the lending community has absolutely nothing to do with this particular loan program. So the program was really in place for the businesses that were directly affected by the disaster. And to be specific, small businesses that were affected by the disaster. And what do we mean by small businesses? Just to give you a wide sense, it would represent 97% of all businesses in the United States. And there are about 30 million of you guys and ladies. So everybody would most likely qualify to apply for the program. And what does the program entail? It is really a program whereby there is if you can qualify for up to $2 million. So that is the most one can apply for. And of course, there is no minimum. And the interest rate is 3.75%. And that would be for the life of the loan that one can term out up to 30 years. So you really have 30 years to repay that debt. And the interest rate does not change. 10 years from now, it will be the same. Not-for-profit organizations, such as a chamber, can also apply. And the interest rate is a little bit lower. It would be 2.75%. Now, remember, those are working capital loans. People call me and say, can I get a line of credit? Or can I use those funds, as part of my profit? Those loans are really used to pay fixed debt. In other words, if things were going well in your business, you have costs associated with running the business. You may have a mortgage if you own the building. You may have a lease you have to pay rent on. You may have to pay electricity bill, light bill, employees bill, insurance bill. This is what the program is structured that way, for you to be able to have money in your hands so you can continue to pay those monthly responsibilities and commitments. And if you were to apply for less than $25,000, for example, there is no requirement of collateral. So $25,000, no requirement. Anything over $25,000 up to $2 million, there is a requirement that if you do have collateral, you have to pledge it. However, no loan has ever been declined for lack of collateral. So if you don't have collateral, you still can get a loan. Now, I just wanted to remind you again, it's once you apply, you get an approval, hopefully in 25 to 30 days, there is a closing. The wonderful thing about this program, there is absolutely no cost. So there is no application cost as a bank would charge you a closing cost. There is no obligation, none at all. And there is also no obligation to take the loan. So for example, the loan officer would have reviewed your package and determined that this is the amount that you need, because you're not going to say to the SBA, I need 50,000, I need 200,000. They're going to make that determination for you based on the information that will be provided. And once it's approved, as I said, there is a closing, then you get a check from the Treasury deposited in your account. So it's not a line of credit, it's really a working capital loan for you to pay your normal debt, monthly debts. Now, there are some filing requirements. So if you are able to get on the site, and as I understand, people are having difficulties since 50 states, small businesses in 50 states do not have access. So don't be discouraged. The site is working. And of course, there is always that opportunity to do it in hard copy and deliver at the office of the disaster. Happens to be in our area in Fort Worth. So the form requirements, once you go on the site, of course, you have to register. You are given a password. You really want to remember the password, because when you go on the site, you are able to save the information that you would have entered. And in order to go back, you need to remember the password. Otherwise, if you have to be provided with a new password, you're going to start from scratch again. So you don't want that to happen. And the requirements are straightforward. You open up, you register, so you see the loan application, which is a form, SBA Form 5, and allow me to cite the form, but it means nothing since you're going to be seeing them in the document. And the difference in the Form 5, the SBA loan application, is that if you're a proprietor, which is really most small businesses, the form is a Form 5C. So we won't want you to start applying, filling out the Form 5. It's not applicable if you're a proprietorship. Then there is a Form 4506, C as in Tom. This is an IRS form. What that form does, it allows SBA to go to IRS to find out whether indeed the tax forms that you have provided are the same as provided by IRS. So it's a form that SBA used to go back to IRS and say, Mr. So-and-so has applied. Those are the forms they provided to us to get a loan. Are they the same forms they provided to you to either pay your tax or get some money back? There is another requirement, or you have to fill out the most recent federal income tax return. We're not asking for 2-3 years, just the most recent one. And it's got to be filled out by each and every applicant who owns 20% or more of the business. So you happen to have the 3 owners, 30% each, and you have someone else who owns 10%. The 30% would have to each provide federal income tax return. There is a requirement for a schedule of liability, and the form is 2202. There is a requirement for personal financial statement, again, for every owner, and the form is 413. And there might be some additional requirement. A current year-to-date profit and loss statement is required. A form 1368. This is a monthly sales figure that you need to provide. And in terms of form, that's very much it. And I would urge you to make sure that the application is complete, because I'm just cannot figure the chaos if your form if they have to call you to let you know that something is lacking, whether a form is missing, whether a signature is missing, for them to put your application aside and start again would take a lifetime. So it's important that you do it the right way, so you have all the documentation in place. And of course, you will see the site where you can apply it on Zoom momentarily. there is assistance. Somebody called me yesterday and said, can you review my application? Well, we're not trained to do that. I will be misinforming you probably, but we do have organizations that are funded by the Small Business Administration, and they are called SBDC, the Small Business Development Center Network. And you have also the SCORE, the retired executives that have been trained, so they are advisors to help those who need assistance in filling out the application. So they are available to you in your various communities. And the site for you to see who they are and where they're located is a very easy one. It's sba.gov/local, LOCAL, hyphen assistance, sba.gov/local hyphen assistance. So in a nutshell, it is what the program provides. As I said, make sure it's complete. Don't have the loan officer to call you back for something that is lacking. It's going to take too much time. We've been asked how long it takes. I understand that during Harvey, where we've seen over 350,000 applications, not all of them were for business, of course. It took about 18 days to get a response, approval or non-approval. I would suspect it may be a little bit longer for this disaster. So I dare to say 3 to 4 weeks for you to get an approval, go into closing, which is simple, and get a check cut out to you. Now, once you get the money, you don't have to start repaying until 1 year from that date of closing. So you get your check in the mail tomorrow. You have 1 full year to start payment. During that time, you still have to pay interest only for 1 full year. So you have 1 full year to start repaying. That's very important for you to know, because you recognize that you're going to need that time to get your business, back on track. So I thought that was important to mention. And again, if you go to the site and you find having difficulties filling out, the other option is to deliver it, because there is a place here, as I said, in Fort Worth, and we do have the address here. So I am looking forward to hear the questions that are being asked. And I do have people here in this office who have worked in the disaster office for over 20 years that are expert in that kind of loan program, the IDL, that we call it, EIDL, and who can join me if necessary. So thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to the questions.
So thank you for that, Herb. We do have a few questions that we have already received. The first question is from one of our members, Muthu Mudalayar. His question is, do you help self-employed small businesses?
As a matter of fact, Neil, 85% of small businesses are proprietorship. That's what it means, self-employed. So yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Great. The next question is from Mahesh Patel. What happens to the current loan you have with the primary lender? Do we need their permission?
Totally independent. Totally independent. If you have a loan with a lender, especially if it's a SBA guaranteed loan, you can request a deferment of up to 6 months with the bank, and that may be extended. So remember, if you have an SBA guaranteed loan right now with your banker, if it's a conventional loan, you have to request a deferment. You really should. If it's with SBA, it's not automatic. You still have to make a request. You get 6 months deferment, so you don't have to pay a thing. And you can get an extension afterwards. So it's totally independent of the disaster loan.
So there was a second part to that question. Will the SBA loan be a second lien?
The SBA under this program, remember, it's an SBA. The loan comes from the government. So it's a government loan, and the bank is not involved in the disaster loan program. In the loan guarantee program, which is the other program, yes, we have second lien on everything. But on this particular program, we have first lien.
First lien.
There is no bank involved, yes.
Okay. And will a title company be required?
Can you please repeat that for me?
Will a title company be required?
What would be required is, as I said, SBA does not require, SBA does not decline a loan for lack of collateral. But if there is collateral, it's got to be pledged. Yes, pledged to SBA. We become first lien holder. Yes.
The next question is, I think you just touched on this, but what if all collateral is already pledged with first and second lien with bank and other lenders?
That's an interesting question that I'm going to call an expert quickly. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to be clear and not giving you the wrong information. I was told if you have a loan with a bank, if it's a conventional loan, SBA will be the second lien holder on the collateral that you would have pledged. If it's an SBA disaster loan, SBA is second anyway. So yes, so you'll be covered under the loan guarantee program where you've already pledged all your collateral. Does that make sense? So if it's a conventional loan, SBA will take a second on the collateral that have already been pledged. And if it's an SBA guaranteed loan, where we were already second on the collateral that would have already pledged with the bank, so we will be part of the same collateral committed. Hello?
Yes. So the next question we have is, how do we answer question 6 on 4506T, T like Texas? The question is, do we select the 1040 or 1065?
I don't know what, I think it's not clear because people are actually trying to call me on the cell. Oh my God. I can hardly hear the question now, Neil.
Let me rephrase the question. How do we answer, how do we answer question 6 on 4506T, like Texas? Do we select 1040 or 1065?
The 4506, it's nothing but a form. It's one page. And it's actually a form that you need to just sign. There is nothing to be entered on that form other than giving SBA, and that's what the form reads. It's giving us authorization to go to IRS. So nothing is entered on that particular form. But what you want to make sure, Neil, is that the returns that you're going to provide us copy of were the same that was provided to IRS. Because if they don't match, you may not be able to get access to this kind of financing. As you probably know, a lot of businesses fill out a form for IRS, and they have a different form when they go to a bank. You know, a lot of businesses do that. And it doesn't work if it's with an SBA guarantee, because we are going to ask IRS to share with us the information that you send. So I don't know whether on a conventional basis, whether the bank takes all the time to do that, but this is something SBA does, because we have had cases where people fill out one that is convenient for them to get a loan and another copy separately, you know, with IRS, so they don't have to pay taxes.
Okay, thank you. The next question is from Ryan Klein. The question is, would it be possible to get a list of all of the forms you mentioned in writing? This gentleman is advising a portfolio of companies and does not want to submit a frivolous request to see the documents required. So would you be able to send me a list of the forms that we can share with all the participants?
Not only am I going to do that, Neil, I'm going to provide you with actually a PowerPoint presentation, if you don't mind. And the forms are on certain page, but if you want the whole thing, where you want to share with some of the membership, it explains every single thing in detail.
Great.
So I can do that. I can send you the form, or I can send you the entire PowerPoint, whichever one you would prefer.
Great, thank you. I think the PowerPoint would be very helpful, and we'll make sure we get that out to all of the participants on today's call.
Very good, and I will cite the page where the documentations are listed.
Wonderful.
I will do that too.
Thank you. So I think that question, Mahesh Patel's question, has already been answered as well. The next question is, are there any disqualifications?
Disqualification is a couple of things. For example, the SBA has a couple of businesses that are ineligible to apply. And just a couple of examples. If you were in, some people tells me, well, my business is to rent apartments and my renters are unable to pay because of what's happening. So we don't deal with rental. We don't do that kind of business, ineligible. So if my business is to really build places to rent and I'm having a hard time collecting from my renters, the program doesn't work for you. So it's illegal, you are ineligible. So if your application was to be received, they're going to tell you it's ineligible business. If you have, you sell books, you have a bookstore, but you strictly sell religious books, well, that makes you ineligible as well. You're selling one type of books, you're only serving some constituents, not all. So therefore, that would be ineligible. The other ineligible one, and I'm sure there will be one in the community, Neil, is the people who actually have a lot of money. So when they get your application, they get your financial, and they notice that you have so much money in the bank that you can easily continue to pay your debt. In other words, it's a bad time, but you know you have enough reserve for 1 year. There is a test that the loan officer will go through with each application. Was there credit elsewhere? Same test with SBA loan guarantee program. You know, there is a test, and basically they try to uncover whether there is money that could have carried you through a year or two. So you have $1 million in the bank. Things are very hard for you, nevertheless, now. You apply for 100,000, 500,000 with the SBA. So the loan will come back, you know. Unfortunately, we have to turn you down because you actually have $1 million in the bank that you can actually utilize to carry you through. so we have enough money ourselves to lend to people who are really in need. One of the questions I was asked yesterday was, Herb, but if that money is from a friend, my friend is very wealthy, so he doesn't mind lending me money. Well, bingo. Once that comes out, you become ineligible because you have credit elsewhere, whether it's from a friend, from the wife, from whoever. So that would make you ineligible as well.
Okay. What about businesses that are pre-revenue? So this is startup businesses that maybe have operations that are being disrupted right now, but they are pre-revenue and they don't have a revenue stream that they can show in their documents.
And what I would say, Neil, please apply nevertheless. So my response would be, unless you can show that your business was affected, obviously you don't qualify. I started business 6 months ago, and I'm not making money. I didn't expect to make money. I know it takes about a year. I'm willing to put my money into the business, and you have no way to show that you've been affected, and that's a test. So it'd be hard-pressed to get a loan. But again, loan officers look at this differently. And that's how I see it. But the loan officer may say, well, I understand that in 6 months you don't have made money, but you would have started to make money maybe starting next month. Then comes coronavirus, so you're in trouble. So I would say to that person, please still apply. But you've got to pass the test. The test is very, very simple. My business was doing okay. I'm doing very bad now. I need to inject some money into the business, and I don't have it. My business wasn't doing okay, but it was expected not to do good until next year. That's how a startup life goes. Then once you can prove that you have been affected as a result of the disaster, regardless of whether it's 3 months in operation or 3 years, that's the test. That's what you need to try to prove in your application process.
Got it. The next question is, for personal financial statements, can we send our standard PFS, or does it have to be the SBA format?
I didn't hear anything at all, Neil. I don't know why. I guess it has to do with my line, people calling maybe. But I didn't hear that question.
The question is, for personal financial statements that need to be submitted, does it have to be in an SBA format, or is the format that they may prepare for maybe their bank or other places sufficient?
If I understand, for personal business, do they have to fill out our forms or not?
No, the question is regarding personal financial statements. When they're submitting those as a part of the loan application package, do those personal financial statements need to be in an SBA format, or is however they would prepare it, say from QuickBooks or another software perhaps, would that be sufficient?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Great. The next question is, I think you've already answered this, but I'll go ahead and ask it. Businesses with credit available elsewhere are not eligible. Can you please elaborate on that?
Okay. So let me take an example again. So my business is not doing well for the past 3-4 months as a result of the coronavirus. I have $1 million in the bank. So your financial, they may see, look at your net worth, you have a lot of money in the bank, totally independent of your 401k, you have money sitting at the bank. And you now trying to use that program, the government funds from the Treasury, that is limited nevertheless to you trying to secure a loan, to take care of your obligations from now in the next 6 months. And based on the analysis of the loan officer, they will see, wait a minute, that person can actually have money to support them. Not only do they have $1 million in the bank, but they are saying to us when we ask the question, it's really not my money, it's my friend who is a wealthy guy who is willing to lend me money to carry me through, assuming that I will get a loan with you guys so that I can repay that debt. So this is the kind of analysis the loan officer will go through. And it's hard to tell you at what point will they decide, well, they really don't qualify, because your argument now is my wealthy friend is willing to lend me the money, but I have to pay him back at some point, and I won't be able to for the next year or so. That is why I'm applying for the loan. So, yes, in a case like that, they may ask more questions of you. They may ask you to have a conversation on the phone with the loan officer so that you can explain where is that money coming from. It's not mine. It's not on my financial, as you can see. It's from an outside friend that I have to repay. I promise to repay him. He trusts me. So that's when the questions of credit elsewhere comes up.
Got it. So the next question is, for service businesses, they don't have any hard assets. How does the collateralization process work with the disaster loan?
And when we talk collateral, of course, that would include your home. So you may have to pledge your home if you don't have anything else. But remember, if you don't have any collateral, you will never be declined for a loan with the SBA under the disaster program. But unfortunately, if you have it, you have to pledge whatever you have. It does not have to be business assets. It could be personal assets.
This question is about grants. Grants have been discussed in the news lately. Can you please elaborate on the grants?
And right at this moment, Neil, there is absolutely none within the SBA network. I'm not suggesting that there will not be any in the new piece of legislation that is right now in the Senate. There might be some, but right now it will be for small business under somebody else's umbrella. But SBA, unfortunately, never had a grant program for small businesses. Yes, we have grant program to help SBDC and SCORE and the Women Business Center and organizations that provide assistance to small business. So there is no grant available at the SBA. I'm not suggesting that there is none at other federal agencies, but I don't know of any at the moment. There's been talk that in the new piece of legislation, once passed, there will be a lot of billions of dollars for loans, not disaster loans, but a little bit related. There will be a lot of money for banks to make loans to small businesses with no interest and no cost. So it's being talked about in the next round of legislation that they're trying to pass, and they're having a hard time in the Senate. There is, I believe, a $300 billion set aside to support loans to small businesses that have been affected, but that's going to be a total separate program. It's a bank loan where the charges for the interest will go to the treasury, who will be paying those to the bank in lieu of the small business. That may include a grant program, but right now we don't have any.
Got it. The next question is, it is likely that many businesses requesting SBA loan assistance will be in a highly weakened financial condition. They are faced with significant interruptions to their revenues, cash flow, and uncertainty about their ability to continue business for an indefinite period. They may have also been highly leveraged or financially weak even before the pandemic, and they may lack the cash flow and the capacity normally required for financing. What are the financial and other underwriting instruments, if any, for SBA loan assistance?
Well, as far as I understand, in the absence of what you just described, one may not be able to get a loan. That's exactly why the program exists. Now the issue is, has this started long before the coronavirus? Those are the questions that may be asked once they review financial. But they don't want to see too much information. They're looking for maybe the latest, income tax return, the latest financial that you have available. They're not looking for a year or two. So based on that scenario, I think that is exactly the sort of client, customer, borrower that SBA will be looking for under this loan program. Now, that same scenario, if you go to a bank, you may have a hard time right now. The new program will be a little bit different. But based on what you just described, you just cannot go to a bank and get a loan at the moment. But the disaster loan is designed for that kind of customer.
Will LLCs be eligible to apply?
Yes.
The next question is, what if liens with non-traditional lenders who have first position with regard to the collateral, but they're not a conventional bank?
So you've already pledged all your collateral with one of these organizations, a non-bank lender. And quite frankly, Neil, again, I will ask again around and get back to you, but I think SBA still can get a second lien, regardless of who you are. As long as you're an organization that is licensed to do business in the U.S., I think it should be okay.
Okay. The next question is, can business value be offered as collateral?
I really think they're looking for hard assets. They're looking for really hard assets to put up if available. I don't think they would ask you for the value of your business. That would be soft. I think they're looking for something they can touch and feel.
So the next question is 4506 a standard IRS form?
4506T, yes. It is the IRS form that is available on their site, and it is not widely used. I'm not so sure it's widely used. It's a form that SBA use. I'm not even so sure the banks are allowed to do that on an SBA guaranteed loan to go to. But SBA can go, our disaster program can just go to IRS with that form signed by the customer, the client, the borrower, to make sure that the IRS form that you submitted match.
The next question is, if we have not yet completed our 2019 tax return, can they submit the 2018 tax return and financials when they're applying for the loan?
Correct, yes, the latest that you have available.
The next question is wealth looked at a personal level or a business level? If the business is a corporation, does the SBA look at personal net worth?
For each person who owns more than 20% of the company, yes.
Okay, next question. Would home health care providers qualify? What determines the amount?
Yes. Again, the amount will be determined by you are going to provide a form with all your liabilities. So also you're going to provide a form with your monthly commitments to the SBA. And they're going to be doing the same. So based on what is provided, the loan officer will come up with a number that will be discussed with you. So if it is that your expenses are $1,000 a month and you need a loan, the SBA is going to anticipate that you may need to cover the next full year. That'll be $12,000. Back pay 3 months, let's say that you haven't been able to pay $15,000. That's how that decision will be made. So whatever the expenses are on a monthly basis will be the determination for how much money the loan officer will recommend.
Okay.
Not for your profit. Your profit is not included in it. Your revenue not included. It's simply to pay debt. The debts that you have been unable to pay since the coronavirus started.
Okay. The next question is, would switching from an affected business to a new business like telehealth or teleeducation qualify?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Next question is, how do you account for net worth when most of the assets are commercial assets which have been impacted due to the current economic situation? How do we reflect the fair market value of the assets?
I would say if your net worth is negative, that's what you have to report. If it's a negative net worth, that's why you really have to report.
The question is about the fair market value of the assets.
I'm taking note of this. I don't want to misinform.
Okay.
I'm taking note of this. I will send you a response.
Okay, great. Thank you. The next question is, would you please clarify the disqualification regarding availability of credit elsewhere? If a business has a wealthy investor who has loaned the company money in the past, would that previous loan disqualify the business from a disaster loan?
I think so. You can go back to that rich investor and get a loan from him in lieu of the government. Most likely get a loan with no interest at all, from that investor. So yes, that would definitely disqualify.
Okay, the next question is, I heard the monthly rents and other expenses are covered, but I did not hear that staff salaries are also covered in this loan or line of credit. Can the loan cover the staff salaries?
Neil, to make sure that it's clear to the members on the call, as I mentioned earlier, every cost associated with running the business on a monthly basis will be covered. So every month you have to pay your employees, whatever, give it a number. Every month you have to pay your electricity bill, your light bill, your rent bill, your mortgage. So all those are your monthly expenses. Yes, if you have to pay your employees. Yes, if you had to let them go last month, but we're giving you the money so that you can bring them back, that has been a monthly expense that you incur. And that's exactly why the loan is designed for companies that have been injured. They can't pay their bills for the month. They cannot pay their obligations for the month. And we want to be able to help them do that. So yes, absolutely. Salary is a big part of it.
And if the owner, and if the owner is also on salary, their salary is also covered?
Absolutely, because that's what he's going to put down in his statement, where he's required to put in what his expenses are monthly, and of course his salary is part of it.
Got it. The next question is, can you please clarify if a 401k and other retirement money are also counted towards your cash on hand during loan qualification, or is it just the cash in the bank?
It's independent of your 401k. That's something SBA never want to touch. Even on a guaranteed loan, your 401k doesn't matter to us. That's something that we want you to keep, for the long haul. It's everything else that you have.
Okay. The next question is, are there any immigration concerns that we should be aware of when advising a client to apply for a loan?
Good question. So when you apply for the loan, you have to be a U.S. citizen or a green card owner or a person who has a special visa that allows them to own a business in the United States. And I don't know what the names are, H-102, H-12, but there are specific visas that allow you to come in the U.S., invest money, work in the U.S., and you take all the benefits as if you were a resident of the U.S.
Got it.
But we have had many cases, and certainly I'm not so sure in your communities you have that, people were arguing with me, if I'm an illegal person and I'm paying my debt to the government, I provide a very important service, I'm paying my taxes every year, I contribute so much, what do you mean I cannot get a loan? And I'm saying I didn't make the regulations. So if you're an illegal person, yes, you absolutely shouldn't even be applying to begin with, for the fear that they may catch you. But if you meet the other requirements, you don't have to be strictly a U.S. citizen. A green card holder can apply anytime, whether it's a disaster or a guaranteed SBA guaranteed loan. A person who has a special visa can apply, similar to applying for an SBA guaranteed loan with your bank.
So Herb, I want to take a quick break for just a minute. We will continue with the questions. We recognize there are still another 18 questions that our guests have today. So just hang in there for just a second. But I did want to take a minute. We did note that there are a number of individuals who joined our program today who are not members of the U.S.-India Chamber of Commerce. You may be receiving our emails, our newsletter that goes out once a week. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a member of the chamber. Given the high demand for this specific program and the programs that we will be hosting going forward, we do ask you to consider becoming a member of the chamber. That allows you to partake in all of our programs without any interruption. And once we go back to having in-person programs, your membership does include tickets to almost all of our programs at no additional cost. The membership also comes with other benefits, which include B2B and B2C referrals, depending on the nature of your business and the level of your membership. It also allows you to advertise in the Chamber's newsletter. We send out member announcements periodically. It's a great way, especially now when people are really turning to remote platforms to access each other and network. The chamber can be a real asset to you during this time. So I'd encourage you to consider getting involved with the chamber. My colleague Rachel is on this call. I'm going to invite her to just say hello to all of you so you know who she is. and that way you can also communicate with her via email. If you're interested in learning more about our chamber and our membership program, please reach out to Rachel. Rachel's email is rachel.dupen@usicoc.org. You can also email her at info@usicoc.org, and she can help you with any of those membership questions. You can also reach out to me if you know me, and we look forward to helping you. So with that, we're going to go back to our questions, but we've got Rachel up there on the screen. Rachel, if you want to just say hi to everybody, you're unmuted.
Hi, everyone. This is Rachel with the U.S. India Chamber of Commerce. I'll be very happy to help you learn more about the Chamber and get you set up as a member. Again, my email address is, the easiest one is info@usicoc.org. Thank you.
usicoc.org. Thank you. So Herb, our next question is, what if a company with multiple partners, one partner has a high personal net worth, but the others do not? Would one partner's net worth disqualify the whole business, even if the funds are not available to the business?
I completely lost you.
Let me repeat that. If a company has multiple partners, one partner has a high personal net worth, but the other partners do not, would one partner's net worth disqualify the whole business, even if the other partners do not have a high net worth, but the funds that the one partner who is wealthy, those funds are not available to the business?
Yeah, and of course, I understand the whole thing. For some reason, sometimes I hear you so clearly, sometimes not. But because everyone has to provide personal financial statement, if you have a partner that owns, say, only 20%, the other two 40% each, the one who owns 20% is filthy rich. That will automatically disqualify the company from applying. Yes. Again, there is credit elsewhere. The person who has a lot of money may be willing to inject a lot more money in the company, may buy some of the stock from the other owners so you can have a larger ownership, but that would definitely disqualify the company.
Got it. The next question is, I am a commercial real estate broker. Can I get a loan?
You can't, because anything that has to do with real estate, as it's ineligible for SBA loans, whether it's with a bank or whether it's under disaster program.
So it is ineligible.
Ineligible. You're ineligible. You cannot apply. Yeah.
The next question is this program applicable to buying a new business as well?
It could. The only difference is, again, Neil, the amount of money that the loan officer will determine is strictly based on costs, on expenses, on liabilities. So there is no way you can take those monies to buy a new business, since it's not included in your analysis. It's all, again, about monthly expense. That's what a small business needs to keep in mind. It's nothing beyond that. Even your profit margin, where you can use some monies to do something else, if you are in operation, cannot be included. It's strictly cost. So you think of your monthly cost. You're not thinking of buying a business, because that's an ineligible use of the funds, of the proceeds. It's got to be something associated with the cost of running your business on a month-to-month basis.
Thank you. The next question is, can you please help if we are a commercial realtor? I think you've actually already answered this. Oh, actually, okay. If we are a commercial realtor and we need a loan, we have operating expenses and close the deal after a few months.
Yeah, but it's ineligible anyway, so you cannot even apply.
Got it. The next question is, how soon can we get a loan granted?
It's such a great question. It's still hard to determine. It depends on the volume of applications being received, and that's why I urge everyone to make sure your application is complete. Under normal circumstances, the SBA disaster office will tell you you get a response from us from 18 to 21 days. Now, I think it could be longer. I think it's safe to say to a small business, it could take 3 to 4 weeks before you hear from them.
The next question is, it looks likely that 7A loans will be expanded given the legislation currently in the Senate. Can you speak a bit about what are the major differences between the disaster loan program and the 7A program?
Yeah, I don't know why I'm losing it so often, but Neil, yes, the program, it's, I heard it, I was on a call with Senator Corning's office, and he did his best to try to explain what the program will look like. You know, as you heard, it's a piece of legislation would be almost $2 trillion, and there is a portion of it, and a large portion of it to go to small businesses for the 7A loan program or for a conventional loan program. So the way the program would work, one can go to a bank and apply for up to $10 million, you know, unlike the 7A, which limits you to 5. So you can apply for $10 million with your own bank account. The banks apparently have already agreed with Treasury that they will forego the interest and the cost associated in getting.
Oh, Herb, we've lost you. If you can dial back in on your phone, I think we've lost you on your phone. I think, folks, we are coming to the end of our program. If you have any other questions, you can go to the SBA.gov website. There are frequently asked questions there, which you can certainly look into. Our webinar was actually scheduled for just 1 hour, so we definitely ran over our time here. But we thank you all so much for joining us. Herb, thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to catching up with all of you in the future. We will have our next webinar for members only on Wednesday at 2 p.m. with David Cole, Vice President at Roach, Howard, Smith & Barton. They're an insurance firm here in Dallas, and they'll be answering insurance-related questions. Thank you so much for joining us for this webinar. We hope you found value in it, and we look forward to seeing you on future webinars. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.